What's up, YouTube? So, in this video, I'm going to be ranking my top 11 linebackers out of the 2021 NFL draft class. Um, so, I have done videos on every one of these players, just like I have with all the other player rankings. They may or may not all be out yet, but if they're not out now, they will be out before the draft. If you want to watch my videos on my individual thoughts on them, without having the relation to each other. If you want that'll be a thing. So yeah. To start this off, we're talking about Derek Barnes first out of Purdue. He is my number 11 ranked linebacker. And he's mainly the reason it's a top 11, not a top 10, because I had a problem not putting him on the list because I had a hard time deciding who I liked better between him and my number 10 guy, because they are very different players. So yeah, like I said, he's 6'1" and 245 pounds. He deals with trash pretty well, but he does get himself out of position. His eye discipline isn't the best. He does have some burst, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's super fast. To me, he is a clear Sam linebacker to me. To me, he should be like somewhere mid day 3 would be where you'd probably take him. He can probably do some special teams things for you too, but I think he can be an okay Sam linebacker. I don't like him playing Will because, like I said, his mental processing just isn't there. But if you just need him to deal with trash and make tackles, I think he can do that for you. And he does have the burst to possibly do some blitzing things as well. So that's a thing. Okay, so my next placement is someone who's it's probably kind of a surprise that he's this low, but that is Chaz Surratt out of North Carolina. Now, he is more of a cover linebacker. He's 6'2" and 225 pounds. He does have some athleticism to him. He flips his hips well. He's pretty decent in coverage if you put him against like a tight end or something like that. He can slip blocks okay. He used his speed to kind of give him some advantage on blitzes. He doesn't. If he gets caught on that blitz, he's kind of done because he doesn't have any pass rush technique. He does have a tendency to over pursue people, and the reason why he's a little bit low is that he does seem a little bit soft to me. If he doesn't have to tackle somebody, he's not going to. If he thinks his teammate is going to wrap him up, he'll kind of stop. And that's something I don't really like because, I mean, you see people break tackles all the time. So I would like to see him finish more, which is why he is lower on this list. He is a day 3 guy to me as well. So, okay, sticking with a theme here, we've got Jabril Cox, another cover linebacker out of LSU. So he's 6'4" and 231 pounds, so he is a little bit smaller. But at least to some people, they would say he's small, but really that's just the prototypical linebacker size at this point. He's pretty solid in coverage, especially if you are against like a tight end, like I said. Pretty decent in zone as well. He can flip his hips a little bit. He does get kind of handsy in coverage, which is kind of concerning. You do see him jogging a little bit, which I'm not a big fan of. He does seem a little bit lazy. His instincts are okay. His ability to shed blocks is okay, but not great. His tackling is solid. He's not gifted athletically as much as Chaz Surratt is, but he isn't lazy, so he's just kind of above him. In fact, if you want to put Derek Barnes above both of them, I would understand. It's just that Sam linebackers are so easy to find that I can't justify that. There's a bunch of Sam linebackers I can get you on day 3. And Sam linebacker, for a lot of teams, isn't even a position that is a starter because teams play so much nickel now. But he is pretty patient. It's pretty much just the laziness that kind of holds him back, and he isn't, like I said, he is kind of limited athletically speaking. So that is a thing. Okay, so we're moving on to another Sam. Jamin Davis out of Kentucky. So he is pretty solid. He does have a tendency to get caught up in the fight sometimes. He does have some aggression to him. But he is very good at just staying in his gap and doing his job. He's not super athletically impressive, but he can deal with trash very well. He does dodge blocks pretty well, and he will go over and smack somebody. I do like him. I think his mental processing is a little bit better than Derek Barnes, and that's why he is above him. And he's not lazy or soft, which is why he's above Cox and Surratt. But also, if you want to put him lower just because he is a Sam, I do understand, and cover linebackers are a little harder to find. I can understand your thinking, but I can't do that on a good conscience. I definitely prefer him over the previous three. Okay. Moving on to my number 7, Baron Browning out of Ohio State. He is 6'3" and 240 pounds. He did very well at the Senior Bowl, which is where I really first took notice of him. He can hit. He's definitely not afraid to smack somebody in the mouth. He keeps moving the entire play, so he definitely doesn't have the laziness problem that Jabril Cox had. He flips his hips pretty well. I will say he does come off the field a lot, but that's just kind of the case with all of Ohio State's guys. They just rotate them all because they had quite a few of them. He's actually pretty good in coverage as well. He is kind of a cover linebacker, but he can do a little bit more than that. He can cover tight ends to a pretty good degree. He doesn't beat blocks too well, and misdirection can be a bit of an issue for him. I think he can go anywhere from like late 3rd round to early 5th, somewhere in that range. And I do like him. I do see him as a cover linebacker, and that is why cover linebackers are harder to find than Sam's, which is why he's above Davis. And again, he doesn't have the laziness or the soft problem that Cox or Surratt has. So that's why he is where he is. But I can't put him above the people above him. Okay, moving forward. Cameron McGrone, linebacker out of Michigan. Now, I'm sure you're probably thinking he should have been number 5, and there's some debate for that. So he's 6'1" and 236 pounds. He has some speed to him. He can dodge blocks pretty well. He has some real aggression. He loves to hit people. He's pretty good at blitzing. Misdirection can hurt him a little bit. And he has a tendency to work himself out of the play. But he's not afraid to smack somebody in the mouth. To me, he is a Sam linebacker to me. He has the athleticism to possibly play Will, or in a pinch, he could even play Mike. I think in a 3-4 scheme, I think he'd be a decent Mike, where he has another linebacker to pair with him. But I think Sam is just going to be where he's best, just because you don't have to worry about the misdirection quite as much. But I do like him a lot, and I think if he can fix his issues with falling for misdirection, I think he can be a really, really good player. Okay, moving forward. Divine Diablo is my number 5. So he's 6'3" and 226 pounds, and I think this guy can play linebacker and strong safety, which is a big part of why he's higher on this list, the position versatility. And he'll be on my safety list as well. At linebacker, and just in general, he mostly plays Will, which is also kind of why he is high on this list, because he is the first Will linebacker. He can cover quite decently. He's definitely not afraid to come down and smack somebody. He can cover tight ends to a pretty good degree. He processes the field really well. He doesn't really have much of a pass rush, and he doesn't really deal with blocks very well, which is why I like him at Will. If you have a good D-line and you can kind of keep him fresh and just let him run around and smack people and process the field, I think he can be a really good Will linebacker for you. I really do. And also, you can change up your formations without having to take people off the field, and you can move him to strong safety, which is something that is very valuable in the league. Now, I know there are some people that are going to want to shoot me for my next placement, but I don't feel bad. Micah Parsons, Penn State. Now, there are so many people that are going to be mad that he's not the number one linebacker to me, and athletically, he might be. There is another guy who is pretty close to him athletically too. So he's 6'3" and 245 pounds. He is someone who opted out of the season. And I do like him a lot. He is very athletic. He is not afraid to smack somebody in the mouth. He has the athleticism to cover people, but when you actually see him in coverage, he's really not that great at it. So there are a lot of people that like to say he's a really good cover linebacker, but that's really just not really the case. I was really high on him at first, too, because I was just really excited for this draft class, and I still really like him. He's still a first-round talent. By the way, I think Diablo and McGrone are both day 2 guys. I forgot to mention that. But I do think from Parsons up, they're all first-round talents. And I think Parsons, athletically speaking, is incredible. Going sideline to sideline, north, south, it's all really good. But he doesn't get off blocks well. Not in particular. He doesn't read the field that well. He struggles really bad against misdirection. Like, you can misdirect his life away. And that's kind of what limits him. And the next 3 people on the list don't share those issues, which is why they're higher. I think he has an extremely high ceiling if he can fix his mental processing, if he can fix his ability to shed blocks. But right now, he has a lot of things limiting him. And just trying to figure out where to put him is difficult. Because he can't really play Sam too well because he doesn't beat blocks that well. And he can't play Will because he doesn't process the field well and he gets misdirected. But he does have the athleticism to play Will. And he can cover people. But, well, he has the athleticism to cover people, but he's not actually that good at coverage. So I don't really know what to do with him. He's just athletic and strong and he will definitely smack you in the mouth. His inability to get off blocks isn't because he's soft. He's just not technically sound at it. He's definitely not soft. He will definitely smack a tackle in the mouth. He's not afraid of doing that. But I don't know. I just don't know what to do with him. I think if he can, like I said, if he can continue to develop, I think he can be a Hall of Famer. He has the athletic ability to do it. But as of right now, I just can't, on good conscience, put him above the top 3 guys for me. Okay, moving forward. Now, this next placement was the most difficult part of the list for me. Because my number 2 and number 3 player are right there with me, and they're both similar players. So if you want to put one over the other, I understand. But I'm going to put Zaven Collins number 3. And I really like him a lot, out of Tulsa. He's 6'4" and 260 pounds. Now, I know a lot of people are wanting to put him at edge rusher. And by the way, people are wanting to put Micah Parsons at edge rusher too. Which is weird, because he's not really good at getting off blocks, but whatever. I'm not trying to move either one of them to edge. Not full time anyway. If you want to give him some snaps at edge, that's fine. So Zaven Collins isn't super fast, but definitely has enough speed to get the job done. He reads the quarterback's eyes very well. He does know how to pull cloth, which is something I noticed. He gets his hands inside when he's pass rushing. He deals with trash really well. He knows how to slip block so he doesn't have to deal with trash. He does sometimes take some bad angles, but it's not something he does all the time. He's a pretty decent blitzer. His tackling is very consistent. He's fine in zone coverage. I don't really like him in man coverage too much. He is faster moving north-south than side to side. I think he actually is a pretty good Mike linebacker. I think he processes the field well, and he can deal with trash well, so he is a Mike to me. He's got really good instincts. I wouldn't say he's super powerful, but he has enough power. And he does know how to control with his blocks. Like, he knows how to stay patient, and he knows when to grab someone's chest and just kind of look at where the running back's going and then shed him and not over pursue. And he's very patient in that way. And I really, really like him. If you want to put him number 2 or even number 1, maybe, I could understand. Honestly, these top 3 can all be shifted. But I'm pretty confident in where I placed them. Okay, moving on to number 2 on the list. Nick Bolton out of Missouri. He was my number 1 linebacker for a long time, and he still is for the Dolphins. This is a list in general. And he is my number 1 linebacker for the Dolphins specifically. But in general, I don't think it's a shock that JOK is my number 1 linebacker at this point. Because he's the only one left that deserves that placement. So he is 6 foot and 232 pounds. But he looks and plays bigger than he is. He is a great downhill linebacker, very good going north-south. He is a hard-ass hitter. He loves contact. He's very good at defeating blocks, but he also knows how to avoid them and when to avoid them. He's not like a freak athlete like a Micah Parsons or a JOK, but he is athletic enough to get the job done. He's very, very comfortable in the trenches. He has a lot of burst. He plays angry as shit. He will come down and smack anybody in the mouth. Doesn't matter if you're a 350-pound guard or a 160-pound receiver. It doesn't matter. He will come down and smack you. I do think he is better going north-south than east-west. But he can go sideline to sideline a little bit too. He reads his keys very, very well. He's a good high IQ player. He doesn't fall for misdirection. He can cover a little bit as long as he's not up against someone who's too athletic. He kills read options really consistently. He doesn't fall for it. I like him attacking north-south. I think his best bet would be like a 3-4 inside linebacker. I think he would fit so well in a scheme like that. I think the most ideal situation for him would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he reminds me so much of Vince Williams. He seems like a better version of Vince Williams to me. That's what he is in my eyes. I just really, really am a big fan of him. And he was my number 1 linebacker overall for a really long time. But I had to rewatch the film on all these guys, or at least the top 4, to really finalize my opinion. Okay, so the last person on the list, JOK, like I said. So I think he is a little bit more team specific, but also not really. And he is a guy who can play linebacker and can play a little bit of safety for you too. So again, position versatility is a thing I like. I mentioned that with Divine Diablo. He's 6'1" and 215 pounds. As far as pass rushing goes, he's not super amazing at it. He doesn't really rush with much of a plan. He just uses his athleticism. But he is very bursty. He has really good athleticism, enough to rival Micah Parsons. He plays angry as shit. He's got really good instincts. He handles misdirection very, very well. He is a little bit undersized for a linebacker, but that's okay. I like him personally as more of a will linebacker. I think he's a very smart player. Very, very good in zone, and he's good in man. He's a solid tackler. Sometimes his aggression can work against him sometimes, and he'll get himself out of position. But, like, it is going to benefit the team more often than not. Think of it like kind of like Troy Polamalu back in the day for the Steelers. His aggression most of the time would result in like turnovers or big hits, big plays that cause momentum for the Steelers. But sometimes those things don't work out and it ends up being a touchdown, or maybe Ryan Clark has to do something to save the team. It just kind of happens that way. The great aggressive defenders have this issue. It just is what it is. He doesn't stop the whole play. He will keep moving. Very high motor. Fast as hell, like I said, especially for a linebacker. He's not afraid of blocks at all. He loves hitting people. He's not afraid to smack an offensive lineman in the mouth. Violent as hell. And he does have the athleticism to recover from his mistakes. And even though he is undersized, he is very strong. Personally, I would have him play like will linebacker or strong safety, which is why he doesn't really work out for the Dolphins too much, because I think he is best in a 4-3 setting, which is why Nick Bolton for the Dolphins specifically is my number 1 linebacker. But in general, JOK is the better player. He just doesn't fit what the Dolphins are doing. That's all that is. But yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, I appreciate you hitting that like button. Have any questions or comments in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.